Je m'appelle Ilana Isehayek et je suis ici en France depuis plusieurs années et j'ai grandi au Canada. J'ai fait mon école d'art au Canada et j'ai commencé ma carrière là-bas avant de venir en France. Alors, je travaille depuis des années avec surtout de bois. Je suis plasticienne, artiste, et mon travail a commencé avec d'abord la gravure à l'eau forte, et plus tard, j'ai continué avec la construction de bois. I was invited to do an exhibition here in this wonderful space, this wonderful chapel. And I had started this work already, this installation that you see behind me. I started over 2 years ago, knowing that it was a work in progress, knowing that it wasn't going to be finished tomorrow. But what I'm showing you here today is something that really deals with the visible and the invisible. I'm working with the notion of archipel, where you can see part of the shape emerging from deep under, and part of the shape that is very visible. And my concern was to find a way of dialoguing with this space and finding a way of imagining how important the water, the tiu, I'm probably pronouncing it badly, but the tiu is for the placement of the space. And for me, it was almost as if this archipelago started forming from underneath this building, and just happened to pop up here. Then, of course, behind me, you could see that I've made these connections, these links between each island. And these links are extremely important in my work. Links have existed in my work for many years, many decades, where I try to find a way of connecting things together, people, places, and of course the architecture of a place together. And how does it work in dialogue with a space? I think that this archipelago started with this, my interest, my passion for things that, again, we may not see, but could suddenly appear. For example, an archipelago began with a movement of an underground volcano that erupted, and this violence brought forth these islands. They popped up out of the water. I mean, not exactly popped up, but they formed themselves on top of the water. So we knew that there was a part that was still underwater, and there was a part that emerged. And this whole idea of something quite violent and quite disturbing, this underwater activity that one may not see, into something that is quite beautiful, and how these islands that were formed in this archipelago are islands that are in constant movement. Sometimes they stay stagnant. Some of them will move slightly year after year. Some of them will reconnect with other islands. And it's something that's in perpetual movement. Just like what I try to do here today is I'm showing you something that is in constant movement, because every time I put this installation together, it's different each and every time. It started off with very few islands, and little by little it's growing, and little by little it's taking on a different meaning for me. But it's in constant movement, just like an archipelago. In my work that I did for other galleries or spaces, I realized that it was really important for me to do something that was not static. So a lot of the times, the sculpture or the installations that I would work on either evoked movement or they were really in movement. I'll give you an example. I was invited to do an exhibition in a space in Colmar, and I decided to show nothing. But this nothing was something for me. The public was invited in to the gallery, and they were confronted with a white wall, a very long and high white wall. And this wall, if you waited a bit of time, you can hear it breathing. You can hear it breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And so what it was that the public was almost obliged to just sit and watch this wall breathe. So sometimes it would breathe out at you, and as it was breathing, as it was exhaling, all of a sudden another part of the wall would start breathing. So it was the kind of thing where the wall was animated. I think that one major part of my work, again, I'll repeat myself, but it's about perpetual movement. It's a movement in space. It deals with where the spectator is in a space in order for that spectator to read that particular sculpture or installation in a certain way. And so the past few months, I've been working on mobiles. Actually, the past 2 years, I've been working on mobiles. And these mobiles are mobiles that are hung sometimes very high up, sometimes they're shorter mobiles, sometimes they're working on the vertical space, and sometimes it's working on the horizontal space. And each and every piece in a mobile has a meaning. It's got a meaning that either deals with the memory of a place, the contact that I have with the people of a particular space, or simply, in simple forms, it could be forms that are repeated in 1, 2, or 3 different options, but how do they relate to each other on one mobile is extremely important for me. It's a kind of, it's a play, it's a game again, it's something that I feel like when I'm looking at a mobile, I'm dreaming a bit. I'm dreaming about another space. I'm dreaming about another connection with another space. So it's, I don't know if that's clear, but it's the kind of thing where, again, if a mobile is suddenly static, it's not going to be static for very long, because a little gust of wind will help it move in another direction and give another option to seeing, another way of seeing.